So the debate started out actually in a pretty upbeat fashion. Each of the candidates was asked to craft a headline about what the city would look like after 1 year in office. And Cuomo talked about rents being down and education being up and crime being down. Essentially, that people would be happy about that. And Curtis Sliwa talked about exceeding expectations and looking very, very mayoral. After all, he wasn't wearing his signature red beret. And Mamdani talked about continuing to defy President Trump and tackling affordability. So in so doing, in defining these headlines, each candidate sort of was able to sneak in an opening statement. It was kind of clever. But then things quickly turned pretty tense.
He literally has never had a job. On his resume, it says he interned for his mother.
What I don't have in experience, I make up for in integrity. And what you don't have in integrity, you could never make up for in experience.
Yeah.
There were clashes over how to handle President Trump, clashes over who has the experience for the job. Of course, Andrew Cuomo wanted to make the case that Zohran Mamdani does not have the experience for the job. And Mamdani saying that if you have the type of experience that Cuomo has, the type that then led to him resigning from office, maybe that's not the best type of experience. And then Curtis Sliwa, in a role that he would play throughout the night, basically pointed to both of those guys, saying that one of them's the architect and the other's the apprentice.
Thank God I'm not a professional politician, because they have helped create this crime crisis in the city that we face.
And that was sort of the pattern of the debate. Possibly helpful to Mamdani that Sliwa didn't also attack exclusively the Democratic Socialists, but also turned his fire on the independent Andrew Cuomo. Also, they talked about the Middle East. That's certainly been a flashpoint in the debate. They talked about affordability. They talked about policing, particularly a long section talking about whether or not prostitution should be decriminalized, Mamdani clarifying that he does not believe it should be legalized. And of course, some interesting lighter moments as well. The candidates were asked for an imaginary scenario if they could only go to one game on a night where the Mets were playing Game 7 of the World Series and the Knicks were playing Game 7 of the NBA championship. Well, Curtis Sliwa said he wasn't going to go to the Mets because he's a Yankee fan. Mamdani said he would only go to the Knicks because he's a basketball fan. Cuomo said he would try to figure out a way to go to both. So that was sort of a snapshot of how things broke down. Started light, ended light, and in the middle, quite a few clashes. By the way, if you missed any of the debate, just go to our YouTube page, NBC New York.